Have you ever felt like you notice things no one else sees? Tiny shifts in tone, emotions people try to hide, energy that changes before anyone says a word? That's not just sensitivity, it's observation. And psychology says it comes with a hidden cost, loneliness. Because the more aware you are of others, the less seen you often feel yourself. Let's break down why highly observant people feel so alone and what's really going on beneath the surface. There are some people who don't just walk through life, they study it. They hear the pause between someone's words and notice what wasn't said. They catch the flicker in someone's expression before it hardens into a smile. They observe the energy shift in a room without needing anyone to explain it. You've probably met someone like this, or maybe you are someone like this, the one who sees things before others name them, who knows when something feels off, even if nobody else seems to notice, who can walk into a room and feel the temperature of emotion without a word being spoken. It sounds like a gift, and in many ways it is. But if you live like this, if you are this, you already know what I'm about to say. Being highly observant can also feel lonely, quietly, consistently, invisibly lonely. Because when you see so much, you often feel like you're living just one emotional step away from everyone else. Present but separate, aware but unspoken, connected but never quite met. And the question begins to form: why does seeing so much make you feel so alone? The answer lives deep inside how your mind works. Being observant isn't just a personality trait, it's a neurological pattern, a way of processing the world in more layers, more angles, more dimensions than most people are aware of. You take in emotional data constantly: body language, voice inflection, shifts in attention, subtle contradictions. This isn't something you turn on, it's always there. Psychologists sometimes call this hyper-attention, a sensitivity to emotional nuance, context, patterns, and timing. You're likely also high in cognitive empathy, the ability to sense what others feel, even if they never say it. Add to that meta awareness, being conscious not just of what you're experiencing, but of how others might be experiencing you. All of this creates a mind that is incredibly rich and incredibly tiring, because while other people live in the moment, you live inside the moment and around it. You hear what someone says, like, but you also sense what they meant. You smile with them, like, but you also wonder what pain they might be hiding. You notice inconsistencies that others shrug off. You pick up on discomfort others don't see. You overthink not because you're insecure, but because you see the web behind the words. And here's the paradox: the more you perceive, the harder it is to just belong, because most people are operating at surface level. They speak in headlines while your mind searches for footnotes. They move on quickly while you're still unpacking what just happened. And so you smile, you nod, you engage, but deep down, you feel like the only person seeing the full picture. And there's something lonely about that. That loneliness doesn't always show up loudly. Sometimes it's just a quiet ache. You could be at a dinner table laughing with people you care about, but still feel like something's missing. Not from them, but from the connection itself. Because when you're highly observant, you often end up understanding others more than they understand you. You decode their moods, you notice their wounds, you anticipate what they need. But how often does someone do the same for you? How often does someone say, "Hey, you've been quiet. Are you okay?" Not because you made it obvious, but because They were really paying attention. Probably not often. That's the cost of being the one who notices. You become everyone's safe place, but few become yours. You carry unsaid things. You feel tension in the air before it has a name. You sense the shift in someone's tone and spend the rest of the night wondering what it meant. And yet, you don't always say it aloud because you've learned that most people don't want to go there. So you filter, you hold back, you make yourself lighter, easier, simpler than you really are, all while your mind is full of stories, observations, unresolved emotions, full of things you noticed and no one else did. And over time, that gap between what you feel and what you express turns into silence. Not the peaceful kind, but the kind that slowly convinces you no one sees me the way I see them. And maybe they don't, because sometimes being observant is something you learned. Maybe you grew up in a place where reading the room kept you safe, where being quiet, perceptive, emotionally available helped you survive. Maybe you became observant not because you were born that way, but because you had to be. And now, as an adult, you still do it. Not because you're afraid, but because it's how you love. You see, you care, you carry, but it can feel like you're doing it alone. Here's the part we often miss. Loneliness for highly observant people isn't proof that something's wrong. It's proof that something's rare. You're not broken. You're just tuned to a frequency most people never hear. And because that frequency is uncommon, you don't always find people who speak your language. But that doesn't mean it's not worth speaking. Because when you do find someone who listens the way you see, Fama, it changes everything. You realize how powerful your sensitivity is, how your mind doesn't just notice, it understands. You notice who's hurting, Fawaz, but still showing up. You notice who's kind, even when they're tired. You see the contradiction in someone's eyes when they say, I'm fine. You live in high resolution. And that clarity, though isolating, is also a kind of wisdom. It gives you discernment. It saves you from shallow connection. It pushes you toward people who are real, who are ready, who want to be seen. There's a phrase for this: selective belonging. You may not connect widely, but when you do connect, it's deep. And yes, that depth can feel like loneliness when it's rare, but it's not emptiness. It's a compass. It's the part of you that says, I'm not here to be liked by everyone. I'm here to find the few who understand the world the way I do. And when you shift your perspective, the loneliness becomes something softer, not a flaw, not an exile, but a guide. A signpost pointing you toward relationships where you don't have to explain why you notice everything. You just do. And they get it. The truth is, being observant will always set you slightly apart, not above, not below, just aside. Because when most people are skating on the surface, you're already underwater. And that space between where you are and where they live can feel like solitude. But it's a solitude that holds truth, that makes room for complexity, that gives you time to actually know yourself. Your loneliness is not proof you're too much, it's proof that you're tuned in to others, to emotion, to subtlety, to life. And while not everyone will meet you there, some will. Some already have. They're quiet too. They've felt the same ache. They're just waiting for someone who sees the world the way they do. So don't rush to belong. Don't dilute your vision just to be understood. The world needs people like you, observers, not just participants. People who catch the truth between words, who notice what's missing, who understand without needing to explain. Your way of seeing is sacred. You may not always feel seen, but you see. And sometimes that's the beginning of everything. Do you ever feel like you notice things other people don't? Do you ever feel lonely, even in a crowded room? Or does your depth sometimes make you feel out of place? If this story resonated, Remember to like the video, subscribe, press the bell icon, and share it with someone who might need it. Our other stories should be appearing on your screen now. Watch them next, and I'll see you tomorrow at the same time with a brand new video.